So what I'm going to do is a baseline Kraft exercise, but not the full one, but I'm going to talk through a couple things, and I've added a few steps for myself because I haven't done this in a long time, and so it's good for me. I'm recording it just like usual so I could go back and look for kinks in the chain. I'm going to try to talk out loud. I'm going to talk more. I'm going to go standing, kneeling, seated, prone. And for a normal Kraft challenge, this would be at 100 yards on paper, and you would do that sequence 3 times, so you'd have 12-shot picture on paper. For this, because we're filming it with the trigger cam for other footage and exercise, I'm shooting at a 2 MOA diamond at 400 yards, but it's the same idea. I want to go through my process out loud because the process is part of your fundamentals. Let's go. What I'm going to do, even though the Kraft, the baseline is not timed, so you could take all the time you want, you don't want to take longer than what's natural. So you try to just go at a natural speed to make sure everything's good. Don't go so fast that you make a mistake, but you find that out from doing it and from filming it and from reviewing. So because it's standing, I have my workspace cut out for me. I'm going to start standing. I'm going to grab the bag. If I'm on a barricade like this, I pinch it, I place it, grab my rifle. I haven't moved my feet yet. I see the target. I'm putting the rifle at the target. I've shaken it in, right? I'm gonna anchor. I'm gonna drop down, and I've got my sight picture. Okay, I came right up to the target. I noticed that my parallax needs a little bit of adjustment. With this trigger cam, it's hard to tell what's focused. Now, purposefully, you'll see what's going to happen next. I have my dope. I feel a smooth bolt run, right? To me, that means this is an empty mag. So I'm going to drop the mag. I'm going to grab a new one. I'm going to place it in. I'm going to come forward. I still have my sight picture. Now I'm considering wind. It's coming from the left, but at very little. I think it's 1/10 wind. And I hit the target. Okay, now you can see that I hit the center of the target. So that's my, I'm noticing I see the mirage. I noticed that the plate didn't move, and I'm trying to hold the trigger to the rear. Okay, that was the first shot. So I'm going to eject the round. Now in a transition, I don't want to transition much. I've got my target, I've got my position. I'm going to pick the rifle up. I'm going to grab my bag. I'm going to transition it. My arm is my swivel. I've got my position. I'm going to drop to kneeling. Got my sight picture. I noticed that this position is a little bit high for high kneeling. Okay, good to be mindful of. I'm going to bring a knee up. I'm going to bring the other knee up. Now this is not an ideal kneeling height for me. I know that. It doesn't matter. I want to know what my fundamentals are. I know my wind call's good. I know my standing position was good. I'm going to use the similar wind hold. Similar impact. I saw it hit the plate. It must have been a little bit left because I saw a little bit of a left cant. I'm going to eject the round. I'm going to drop my bag down. I'm going to go into a seated position. Because of my back surgery, I'm not going to bend over. I'm going to kneel on my knees like I'm a martial artist or something. I've got my sight picture. Okay, that was a little left of center. I'm going to assume, oh, you could see the mirage going right to left now, and I neglected that instead of left to right. I was holding a 10th, and it was a 10th of center. I'm going to chalk that up to either me, because when I'm kneeling, it could be left, but the error, the deviation you could see on this reticle, it's a 10th. Well, it's more than that. It's 2/10 left of center. right? Now I'm gonna go to prone, and deliberately this bipod was not adjusted to prone. I'm gonna pull it out. I'm gonna pull it out 5 notches because I know that it's 5 notches. We're not under speed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my normal prone height. I've got my position set up. It's aimed at the target. I'm gonna drop into prone. I'm gonna anchor to the rifle. I'm gonna drop into my sight picture. I'm gonna take note of that mirage. It's like it was on that last shot, so I'm gonna hold center. And it hit maybe 1/2 tenth high and 1/2 tenth right. Like that, if you could see the reticle on the trigger cam, it's centered up with that shot. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the reticle on that left one, and I've got a group that's 0.25 mils wide. So now I'm going to think about that. That's 3/4 of an MOA, right? Or a 0.75 group at 400 yards. And if I could repeat that another 4 times, you know, that would be the size of my Kraft group. It deviates maybe 2/10 left and you know, half point, you know, maybe 1.5 left and 1 right. So it's centered around my point of aim. Of course, there's a little bit of wind to contend with, not so much, but this is still within the size of a 1 MOA target. So it's effective, and I would continue to, then I would review the video and look for kinks in the chain. I'm not so much concerned about my impacts, but the consistency. I would want to go back to my worst position, which was seated, and see if I did it again on that next run, if it went left or if it was the wind. And that's the hard part about shooting as we go out. We don't know if it was the position or the environmentals. Whereas if you do the drill at 100, you know it was the position. And I think that there's huge advantage to doing it at 100 yards, knowing that it was the position that caused the shift and not left like I am now, saying, okay, it's 2 options. I either put it left or the mirage, you know, after the shot, I noticed the mirage was not left to right like before. It was now right to left. And like the beauty here in Fort Morgan is that we're often shooting right into the wind, and it's often going from 11 to 1, 11 to 1. And so we get those shifts. And if you don't catch them in advance, like what happened to me on this third one, those types of errors can happen. And with an effective wind speed that's low, the shift isn't big. But if the winds were 15 like they were on Monday, that swing may have pushed me off if I hadn't caught it, which I didn't catch here. It reminded me to pay attention. I have it on film. I could review it and I could go back, and I only spent 4 rounds for this drill. I would want to do it 12 times, but if I did it 12 times, I would prefer, unless I was working catch the mirage, catch the mirage. If I'm working technique, I wanted 100 yards on paper. If I'm working environmentals, I wanted a distance on steel.